Gifts for the kids? Check. Your mom? Checked. But what about the men in your life? This year, get them a gift from Man Crates. Show him you really care with hundreds of totally unique gift ideas available at mancrates.com, like the Soak and Smoke Grill Crate or the Everest Grill Crate with a pink Himalayan sea salt block. Now through December 23rd, buy one item and get a second item for 50% off at mancrates.com/fueled. Plus, get special Santa daily deals. mancrates.com/fueled.
Yay Networks.
I'm Molly Kimball. Welcome to Fueled, a wellness and nutrition podcast. I'm a registered dietitian and nutrition journalist with a passion to help people live their strongest, healthiest life possible. In my weekly TV segments and columns, there's a limited amount of time and space to cover everything, but there's so much more to share. This podcast is my opportunity to dive deeper into the topics you want to know about. This week's podcast episode is about giving the gift of wellness. And let's be honest, after the year that we've all experienced, let's just say that we can all benefit from giving and also from receiving the gift of healthy. And we're going to be talking things from food to fitness and all these wellness themed gift ideas that truly can be tailored to suit anyone on your list. I am joined today as a guest with me on this week's podcast by one of my favorite people, Ben McLauchlin. He is the sales director of Swerve. He and I do a monthly TV segment. He joins me. I do the weekly segment for WGNO. Ben joins me monthly for a demo, baking up something really sweet, beautiful, and delicious with Swerve. If you've seen him on the segments, you know that he is hilarious. He's also incredibly talented and has these brilliant ideas. He's also become a close friend of mine over the years. And so with the distance with COVID, he's actually based out of Dallas. It's great to catch up with him and to do a podcast like this as well. So I think that you'll get some great ideas from it. And I hope that you'll have a blast listening to us as well. There's some just evergreens that I want to kind of talk about that Ben and I don't cover. That can always be just whatever the year is, whatever the occasion is, that we can give that kind of help to give that gift of wellness. So things like gifting a series of classes or services. So think like, especially if it's something they wouldn't typically do for themselves. So it might be if they've wanted to tune up their diet some, it could be a series of sessions with a registered dietitian. Or if they've been dealing with something that's maybe a chronic pain issue, a series of sessions with a licensed acupuncturist, or stuff you can do together, like Pilates classes, yoga classes, whatever, boot camp, or if there's anything like that that is a new workout that you've been wanting to try or they've been wanting to try, that can be a cool thing to gift them that y'all can do together. And then always one of my favorites is something like a creative outlet, like painting or a pottery class. That's actually how I got into pottery myself. It was something I'd kind of been thinking I wanted to do. And when Brad's birthday rolled around one year, I was like, happy birthday. We've got a series of like 6 classes that we're going to be doing at the pottery studio. He's like, wait a second. You want to do this, but I actually thought he might like it. He did enjoy it, but he was like, you want to do this? And so I'm getting this for my birthday, but it actually ended up being something that we both really enjoyed and something that I actually have continued with well beyond that gift. So Ben and I will have tons and tons of even more ideas to help to get you into the wellness-minded spirit. He and I are going to talk about some of his favorite do-it-yourself gifts that he'll make in the kitchen that we can easily make up in the kitchen, things that we can eat, things that we can sip. He'll talk packaging ideas, gift ideas, how to really kind of pull it all together to make it festive, and things that can fit any skill level in the kitchen, also any budget. So with that, welcome, Ben. I am excited to have you doing the podcast with us. Again, this is your second time joining me.
Oh, yeah, Molly, thank you for having me. I love being here.
I know, and I really miss our time in person. We've had, I think, one opportunity, maybe 2, since the whole quarantine started in the spring to do our segments in person. We've been doing them virtual every month.
Right, which has been fun. It makes it a different experience, I think you'd say.
Yeah, but it's not the same as being in person.
No.
I'll say for our listeners, when we do it, it's hilarious. Like, we figured out, and thank goodness for our incredible producer, Andrew Amore at WGNO. So we set it up. And so Ben sets up his whole demo of what he's doing in his kitchen, because Ben's in Dallas, by the way, and I'm in New Orleans. Yep. And so he sets up his camera, his iPhone, on a little tripod. So it's recording him. And then I'm in my kitchen. My iPhone is recording me. But obviously, if we're just recording ourselves, we can't hear each other. So then we connect through Zoom on our computers, and that's how we talk and can hear each other. We're recording ourselves at the phones, and now we have two separate videos, and Andrew kind of merges them together. So God bless him.
I wonder if everyone has just even got that. Like we definitely have to be really creative. I think I just went cross-eyed trying to put all the pieces together.
The first time we were talking, I think I had the idea and I presented it with you, and you were like, wait, what?
I was like, now how many devices do I need?
And at first we thought we had to have each of our spouses' phones. And then when we realized, wait, no, we can do Zoom to talk and then talk to that. So we've been having our little dose of Molly and Ben time, but I'm glad we can dive in more now and share with our listeners some of these really cool gift ideas that are wellness themed. And I think in every year, I'm always encouraging people to let's think about wellness, let's think about health and how we can encourage, especially people who might be motivated to make these better choices. How can we encourage and support that? Because this time of year, there's so many temptations anyway. It's not like we have to contribute even more sugar or whatever else to people's lifestyle. So if we can use this opportunity to introduce maybe something they haven't tried before, or show them that maybe one of their favorite things can be made a little bit different, it's a win-win.
Exactly. I think it's also exciting if you can introduce them to something they haven't tried before, but it also tastes good.
Yeah.
I think that's the key, because a lot of times they think, oh, that's better for you. I'm going to kind of stay away from that option. But when they taste it and they figure out that it's that delicious, it's kind of game changing for everyone.
Year round, take holidays out of it, you're kind of a pro at doing that. And that's kind of, I guess, your MO. Like if you're at a tailgate or you're bringing a dish to someone's house, or you're, even in normal time, like when it was more kind of like party and celebratory stuff a little bit more often, you would bring things made healthier in whatever way it was, depending on the dish, but you wouldn't even tell people. Sometimes, like, you wouldn't tell them before.
No.
And depending on the person, you may or may not tell them after that what they just had was. Yeah.
Exactly. Y'all may be aware, but just to let you know a little bit, I work with Swerve Sweetener. It's a natural sugar replacement. And so many times I will serve a baked good where I've removed the sugar, replaced it with Swerve. It's cup for cup when you bake and cook, and it makes it look like it's made with sugar, but I'll put it out, serve it at some event. People eat it, tell me they enjoyed it, and then I tell them they got Swerve.
I love it. I love it.
Yes, but it is game changing. But a lot of times if you tell people in advance, I find they can freeze up a little bit and be like, well, I just want my sugar, I want my butter, I want my white flour, I want everything else. So I'm just going to stick with that. But if you can sneak it in there and then they actually see that it's good,
yes,
then it's a way to help them and kind of help with that resistance to change that all of us have. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree. And I think a lot of people will say, the quote, air quote, should, which of course I can't stand that word should, but people will use it. I should cut back on my sugar, or I should start eating healthier. So they may have maybe the want, but they're not really having the follow through because of those reasons you just said. And so then when they see that they can have something, you take it to heart also. Like at your wedding, you had a Swerve wedding cake, and it wasn't like Ben had, oh, here's my regular one, and then for people who don't want sugar, here's a Swerve one. The entire wedding cake was a Swerve wedding cake.
Yeah, it was, and the recipe is even just our vanilla cake on our website at swervesweet.com. And Molly, the thing is that if I felt like I needed two options, I would have given two options, because sometimes in the world of alternative baking or better for you baking, baking, that's my Southern accent. But in the world of better for you baking, I've learned there's two different kind of approaches. One is it's not sugar, it's not flour, and if it happens to be vegan, it's not butter. And so from that point of view, as an alternative baker, they understand that it's just not going to taste the exact same as, say, the chocolate chip cookie you grew up with, and they're okay with that. I will tell you, Eileen, and probably the other school of thought is if I can't make it, I'm going to do my best to make it taste as much like what my grandmother made, what my mother made, even if I'm using almond flours and coconut flours or Swerve instead of sugar or coconut oil instead of butter. Like I want it to mimic as close as possible what reminds me of like childhood memories. I'm not saying either school of thought is better than the other, but I kind of lean just towards if I'm going to serve a wedding cake, I want it to taste like a cake that I grew up with, but it just has some better for you ingredients.
And you nail it. You do. And it's not just by chance or by luck. It's you take a lot of time. You do sometimes many, many iterations of a recipe. So the things we'll be talking about aren't things that Ben just like thinks about, whips up once, and it's like, okay, that's good enough. You do exactly what you said is, okay, you could, usually your first round is going to be what a lot of people would consider good enough. But it's that the extra effort and the other iterations that you do to get it just right that makes it why when you do put it out at a party, people have it unsuspecting and then they don't even realize they got swerved. Now, when you were doing it as holiday gifts, it's not so easy to be stealth because we want someone to know that they have it. Like if I'm giving someone the peppermint scones that we'll be talking about, I want to make sure they know that they are better for them and here's why and stuff like that. So it's a little bit harder, I think, because we do want to kind of share with them on that label. You might not be able to tell them after the fact, but yeah, I love that. So with that, if we're thinking about, okay, I want to do a DIY, something that I'm making myself, whether I'm baking it or whatever, that's going to be the gift that I'm giving to friends, family, neighbors. What are some of the considerations to think of in terms of like what that item is that they're making? And then also the vessels or the containers that it's going in, that you're gifting it in?
Oh, yeah. So, Molly, I was looking back at some of our old segments, and I think one of our first segments together, and I went all out on the decorations and even the set props, but we did present, my mother has an amazing candy cane cookie recipe. And at that time, you had me like using whole wheat flour and things like that. You switch a little bit. You're like, hey, I see you have some white flour in your normal recipe. Can we use some whole wheat flour?
Did you have white flour in the recipe when you first did it? You did.
Yeah, I grew up with it having white flour. And then you were like, hey, can we put some whole wheat in that? And I was already using Swerve instead of sugar. So then you were like, can we just do some whole wheat flour? Try that out. And so you also have helped me kind of transition a little bit into this world of alternative baking or using some other better for you ingredients than what I was using before. But that's where we dabbled in those candy cane cookies, and we also did some chocolate rum truffles. We did like a mini banana bread, which is one of my favorite recipes of all time. And then I presented it in all kinds of different vessels. So I think the candy canes were like in mason jars. The mini banana bread, they were in loaf pans. The chocolate truffles may have been in like just those little glass jars you can get with a lid that pops up. If you know what I'm talking about, it kind of fastened with like a silver hook in the front.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, like the little flip top lids, yes.
The little flip top lid, let's call it that. But then you can put some ribbon around it. And of course, you need to have instructions on all of them because some like the truffles, for instance, are something that you probably would want to refrigerate quickly just because the chocolate around them. It could melt at room temperature, and it's okay if you make a mess when you're enjoying a special treat. That's the way I feel about it. But you would want to put some instructions, on those labels, telling people what they are, whatever the season greeting is, and then just maybe some instruction if it's required.
Or like we said, the fact that these are, zero sugar or however many net carbs, if you know that, stuff that kind of lets them know. Because I've given things to, you remember our neighbor across the street, Mr. Eddie, he would like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, he would, we never really saw him eat much. We saw him drinking a lot of beer, but he was diabetic. And so when I would give him gifts, he was very grateful because I would note on there that it had no sugar. I would note why it was okay for him, and he would like be really touched because, I think he didn't really have a lot of know-how on that. One time I was driving, and I backed up and I knocked over his trash can, and I was like, oh my God, like he's going to think I'm such a jerk, but I was late to go to the North Shore. So I called Brad and I'm like, Brad, can you pick up his trash can? I just knocked over Mr. Eddie's trash can. Brad's like, and he's like, you pick it up. And I'm like, no, I'm late, but he's going to think I'm a jerk. Brad's like, you are a jerk. You just knocked this trash can over and you're driving away. And Brad was about to get in the showers. He's fine. I'll get it. So later that night when we got home, I was like, hey, what was in his trash? Like, cause he's always so curious. He only saw him drinking outside in his driveway. And Brad said it was the easiest trash ever to pick up. He said it was beer cans and leaves and grass. I was like, any food, any coffee, anything? He said, no, that was it.
Just beer.
Just beer. And he did his lawn every day. So it was that.
That's funny. We know his hobbies, beer and gardening.
So that's why I was like, I don't know how he eats, but yeah, he was always grateful for that. So anyway, you may or may not choose to put that it's as much of the nutritional information or something like that on there. So we're talking holiday gift ideas in this episode. And one of our sponsors for this week's podcast is Man Crates, which fits absolutely seamlessly into everything that we're talking about. This is one of those fantastic, really creative gift ideas to get for the guy in your life. There's so many favorites that I have, like their Soak and Smoke Grill Crate with a cast iron smoker box, or the Everest Grill Crate with a pink Himalayan sea salt block. They also have a chef knife making kit or a hot sauce making kit. Personalization is free, and every Man Crates gift comes with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. He'll think it's incredible, or Man Crates will make it right. Now through December 23rd, buy one item and get a second item for 50% off at mancrates.com/fueled. Plus, get special Santa daily deals. That's buy one item, get your second 50% off at mancrates.com/fueled. mancrates.com/fueled. Going back to what Ben was saying for a second about, I had completely forgotten. That was like, I think our second segment you and I have ever did. And we've been doing them now more than 5 years. And so that was our every month for 5 years. That was our second one ever. I forgot that, yeah, you're right. The original recipe, you had some white flour. But Ben, he'll describe himself as like, that Paula Deen cook. And like you heard him say, what did his mom make? What does his grandmother make? And your first step in taking those foods and making them healthier was, let me take the sugar out and put Swerve in.
Yeah, so because I had never done this before. Like when I started working with Swerve about 7 years ago, the reality is I, took care of myself. I stayed active. I definitely watched what probably more like Mediterranean diet. I would kind of follow those guidelines as far as where my protein sources came from and making sure I get like healthy plant-based oils and, veggies and things like that. But when it came to dessert, there was no swapping out. Like I was just like, I only know one way to eat dessert, and it is butter, 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 sugar, 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 and lots of white flour. Like outside of that, I was like, I don't know what to do with this. Right. So when I started with Swerve, that's when I got exposed truthfully to my first sugar replacement. It is plant-based and natural, I think, as I said earlier. So I started with that because I wanted to know if they tell me it will brown and caramelize, if they tell me it's going to be cup for cup, will it be? So really, I spent my first year, Molly, like going through every recipe I'd ever been exposed to in life and that I'd enjoyed baking to see if it would work. If there were a few tweaks I needed to make with like liquid, I did that. And then you and I really started working together. And that's when you were like, okay, well, it seems like you've mastered the sugar to Swerve replacement. Let's work on coconut oils and let's work on the white flours and see if we can swap some things out for the butter with coconut oil. And then, of course, the white flours with whole wheat. But you inspired a lot of that as far as challenging me to even go further than just replacing sugar in a recipe.
And I think that's important for our listeners to hear is that, the recipes that we'll be talking about today, I'll be linking to them. And as Ben mentioned on the Swerve website, there's so many recipes. Those are done. They're tried and true. They're vetted out. But if you have your favorite recipes that are kind of your family things that you want to start with that and you don't have a guide on how to do it, taking it one step at a time is completely fine. And that first step may be, okay, let's cut out the sugar or even cut out half the sugar and substitute it with something like Swerve. And then, okay, you kind of get comfortable with that. And then what's your next thing? So for Ben, his next thing was going from white flour to whole wheat. And we should say whole wheat pastry flour because it's a better texture than whole wheat. And then gradually from there, he said, okay, let's start doing things that are also gluten-free. And by switching from even whole wheat flour, which is fine, but it's about the same carbs as white, you started using almond flour and coconut flour, and that helps to drop your carbs, but it also boosts the fiber and boosts the protein even more than with that whole wheat flour. And then it took, we say then the next step that you did, Ben, was butter and then kind of doing the coconut oil swap, but you haven't even fully embraced that.
I haven't fully embraced that. Now Molly is in her best to listen. I literally have a butter dish on my counter right now by my stove that says butter, y'all. So it's just, that's the hardest one for me. I understand the reality of why I need to switch out, but that is one where change is hard for me. Yeah. But Molly has introduced me, and I can't remember if it's a Nutiva, but it is a coconut oil that is butter flavored. I have used it, and it's been the closest butter replacement that I approve of, so to speak.
And it's organic. It's completely all natural. It's a vegan product, and it's at Walmart is really the main place we find it. Walmart
that's pretty
online.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the price point is fantastic. And like Ben said, it's a butter flavored coconut oil, so that can be a way. And that's one where Swerve measures cup for cup like sugar. Coconut oil measures cup for cup like butter. So back to kind of the holiday gift things.
And just to get on coconut oil, and then we'll get to our topic at hand, is only because I do use, and we've talked about this before, Molly, refined coconut oil, because you do not get as much of the coconut flavor. And there are plenty of baked goods where I just don't want it to taste like coconut. If you use unrefined, it typically will taste like coconut. Now let's move forward. Okay. Gift giving. Let's do it.
So
people are like, Molly, I want to learn about these gifts. Let's do it.
So we've got so many stories to share. So that very second segment ever that Ben and I did, we're going to link to that so you can see it. It's a little retro, but it's the candy cane cookies that Ben's mom made, which are just really cool. They're like sugar cookies. They're almost like a twisted. We'll say this. So there's the candy cane cookies, the dark chocolate rum balls, the banana bread. So you can see all the different containers for that. The candy cane cookies and the banana bread, those were with the whole wheat pastry flour. But we'll say if you're looking for some that are gluten-free or even lower carb, on the Swerve website, you could just search candy cane cookie, and Ben has one now there that's made with almond flour. I'll also say, Ben, your title is sales director for Swerve. Informally, is it sales director? Tell me if I'm saying.
Yeah. That's perfect. I just say I'm over sales.
And informally, though, you've done a lot of the R&D, the research and development for these recipes. So Swerve has a lot of other collaborators, bloggers, people who are just really expert in working with plant-based sweeteners and lower carb recipes and stuff. You've really pulled a lot of them together because of I think it's your high expectations of what you want that final product to be has made it really great too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's also just being transparent and authentic. So I really think that year of educating myself on Swerve as a product and how it actually could replace sugar, and did it have the functionality I was looking for? That year was I feel like it was almost taking a master's in baking with a sugar replacement.
Yeah.
Because I took even just your basic chocolate chip, your basic brownie that I grew up making, again, with the white flours at the time and the butter and all that, but just switching out the sugar to say, do I still have the same experience? And like I said, if you are trying to figure out your recipes and you want to do something that you want to give as a gift, it could be a jar of chocolate chip cookies. We have better for you, we have the diabetic friendly chocolate chip cookies. And then we just have your traditional chocolate chip cookie that probably still has white flour on our website, but we have substituted the sugar with Swerve.
Yeah. Yeah. And those would be great options, whether it's brownies or if it's cookies. We also, I'm going to link to just last year, Ben and I did a segment that was peppermint scones. And this was adapted from our Eat Fit cookbook. And so with the Eat Fit cookbook, almost all the recipes in there are from local restaurants. And we have, we worked with the chef. We have all these different just amazing dishes from local chefs and restaurants. With the dessert chapter, though, restaurants struggle with that. And so that's one where I turned to Ben and said, hey, can you work with us to put together some really incredible desserts? So basically the entire Indulge, which is what we call the dessert chapter, the entire Indulge chapter is an ode to Ben. We even have a feature of Ben. So if you're curious what he looks like, you can see him in there and, kind of about you and your story. But one of the ones that you did in there was a lemon scone. And so then you adapted that to make it a holiday type recipe.
That's right. And you were a little nervous at first because we actually, I kept the lemon base and then threw in some peppermint oil and I think sprinkled with a little bit of candy cane. And Molly was like, I am not, again, y'all, this is a little bit, it's become about change with the theme here. Molly was like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that combo. But Molly, how do you feel about
the
that
combo? Was like lemon
out?
And peppermint. I thought, I don't know how lemon. Are you sure, Ben? And he's like, Molly, it's really good. I'm like, okay, I trust you. And it was absolutely incredible. Yeah, it was really, really fantastic. So we're linking to that in the podcast episode notes for Ben's peppermint scones. Those are made with almond flour, coconut oil, coconut flour. But if you did want to make the lemon version of it, then you just leave out the peppermint and you've got it, Oh,
Exactly.
I'll say this too. We're offering a promo code. It is Eat Fit Gift, and it's 20% off of the Eat Fit cookbook through the end of the year. So yeah, we've got
I was about to say, I was like, is it 20% off of the peppermint scones? Just kidding.
That would be a lot of work for you. You didn't know what you were getting into at this podcast.
I do not have a bakehouse. Let's be clear.
So you and I, as we were talking and kind of preparing for this podcast, and we were talking about which different things we would talk about, we were also saying that not everyone feels very skilled in the kitchen. And even something like, definitely I feel like your mom's candy cane cookies, or the scones even, it takes a little bit of know-how. And some people may think that they're really easy, but if someone's not a very experienced baker, they might find it overwhelming. And you reminded me of the candied pecans on the Swerve website.
Yeah, that's right. So we have some delicious candied pecans, y'all. They're so simple to make. You literally have a skillet. You throw in some butter or some coconut oil. You put in some pecans, a little bit of Swerve, some cinnamon. I think you could throw in some vanilla if you wanted to. And after 5 to 10 minutes, you have these delicious kind of caramel crusted candy pecans that you can put in like cellophane plastic bags, put a little ribbon around them and give them around to your neighbors. Or also, what I love about it is that when I'm baking and cooking, or if I even go to a party, but when I'm baking and cooking, I just keep a little bowl. And if I need to snack on something, it's a little sweet and salty treat that's delicious just to keep in your kitchen or around the house when you have that sugar craving, just to get a little hit with a better for you option.
They are absolutely incredible. And I'll tell you this too, Ben. We have one of the coolest things is like when we do TV segments or whatever we're talking about, or from the cookbook, and people will share, they'll either post on social or they'll text or their email photos of what they've done. And you love it because it's like, okay, you're putting these ideas out there, and to see it come to a reality in people's own kitchens is really, really cool. But, we have one of our viewers for our TV segment, Tommy. You've received questions from Tommy because I passed them on
good
to
old
you.
Tommy. We appreciate Tommy.
I don't know if there's a dish that you've made with me on WGNO that he hasn't tried, or at least really strongly thought about trying. But the candied pecans have become part of his family's like holiday routine. Like it's just part of his standard fare for his family for holidays. So
I love that.
Yeah, I do
really
too.
do.
I do too. And
I'll tell you what, Tommy is probably going to listen to this and he's going to be like, oh my God, I just got the biggest shout out. So
he should. Tommy. He deserves it.
Yes, I love it.
But I was like thinking, because, we do things for our neighbors and all. And spoiler alert, if anyone's listening to this, there's a high likelihood you're going to get some Swerve candied pecans from me this year. In fact, I may have already bought the little jars that they're going to go in.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love that, Molly. That's great.
So whatever your skill level is, there's something. So the candied pecans, really, really easy. Something like the candy cane cookies or the peppermint scones. Those dark chocolate rum balls are also pretty easy. They don't take a lot of skill.
Anytime there's like a ball or a truffle, like truthfully, they're typically very simple to make. If you see something ball, something truffle.
Yes.
It is a simple recipe to make. Again, if they are like chocolate coated, you just want to be aware of that room temperature so that people don't sit and they don't melt and all that. And we were even talking about those rum balls Like, didn't you say something about, didn't somebody's grandma make that rum
Yeah,
ball?
Brad's grandma used to make some rum balls, like dark chocolate rum balls, and the ones that you make. And you know what? You can call it a truffle if you don't want to call it a ball. You could call it a truffle. But
Makes
the
it fancier.
Ben's tastes really a lot like the ones that Brad's grandmother used to make. But they are like, and you could, I guess someone could leave out the rum if they wanted to.
Yeah, they could leave out there. I mean, also, I think there may be, that could be where you could toss in a little bit of like coconut extract.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think it would give a little bit of that rum
true.
effect. But let's also be clear about grandma's rum balls. Um, to my understanding from the ones I've had growing up, you do not want to drive home after consuming a few of
No,
them.
Brad's little cousin one year, and she's almost, she's an adult now, but when she was like 3, everyone's like, what is wrong with Emily? And no one had noticed that she had had like 3, maybe 6 of grandma's rum balls.
Oh,
Yeah.
poor little Emily had to detox the next day.
Yeah. Or she just had like, she slept really good.
Oh, yeah, good option.
Yeah. Like they're like acting out. Oh, just give her a rum ball.
Uh,
But so there's so many different things that you can kind of within your skill level, within your comfort level. And then like we were talking about the containers of the vessels. So Ben was talking about it could be like a little tin for the cookies, or it could be a mason jar with ribbon around it, which is what I'll be doing, something like that for those candied pecans. The banana bread, you could get little loaf pans that are like the aluminum that or to give away or disposable. There's so many different ways that you can be creative. But you were telling me that you've also used things to, like you put the clear bag and then you'll put it into some other kind of a vessel that's usable later for people.
exactly. Like even if you wanted to, so a coffee mug is obviously fantastic.
Yeah.
I think we've all seen that before. But even putting it in a wine glass or a martini glass makes it a little fancier.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting way to dress it up a bit, and you could put a bow on the base of that wine or martini glass, and then just put the bag of say truffles or rum balls to kind of go with the theme, I guess, of having some alcohol in it. But those are some creative ways that you don't have to just like stick to the standard like Christmas tin with the window pane. The mason jar is a little bit not so out of the box, but it's still a cute idea. And then I've even used flower pots, y'all, and just put on the stencil with like Santa or whatever it may be that you want to put on there. And then, of course, within that cellophane bag, which I love putting things in bags and tying them with a bow, even putting that, or even putting the pot within the bag and then putting in whatever treat and then, tying it up and presenting it. But it's just a really pretty way in a different way to kind of just show your cheer and also your appreciation of others.
And there's nothing wrong, of course, with a Christmas tin, and that's fine. And a lot of people have a lot of them on hand that you're going to use something like that.
Oh, yeah. I
do love the idea of having it be something else that's functional, some sort of a functional vessel that you can use for a whole nother purpose later. I'd like to take a minute to talk about one of our sponsors for this week's episode, BlendJet, your blender on the go. We use ours all the time. It's perfect for smoothies on the go. It makes it incredibly easy. It's so compact and lightweight. It's about the same size as your favorite water bottle, but it packs big blender power. In just 20 seconds, you can make a delicious smoothie, protein shake, frozen latte, anytime, anywhere. The new and improved BlendJet 2 easily crushes through ice and frozen fruit. Plus, you can get 15 blends. That's 15 blends from a single hour of charging with any standard USB port. We love the grab-and-go convenience of BlendJet, and under $50 with fast and free shipping and 16 colors to choose from, the BlendJet 2 makes a perfect gift. Try it risk-free with BlendJet's 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to blendjet.com/fueled right now to save an extra 12%. So save an extra 12% at blendjet.com/fueled. That's blendjet.com/fueled. So you also have some either recipes or kind of idea suggestions for do-it-yourself gifts that are less about a baked good or something you're eating, but more things that we're sipping.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, for instance, when Molly and I were talking, this will go into 2 different topics, but she was talking about some infused oils, which she'll get into a little bit as far as how to make those. And then that connected, we have infused mixers on our website. There's an apple pie. It does take about 7 days to create that infusion. And there's no alcohol in it, but it would be great for like a mixer for a cocktail drink, or if you wanted a mocktail that was seasonal. But it also is a great way to put it in like those glass bottles. And Molly, I think you can explain them better. Again, with those little snap lids, and then you can put it in there, let it infuse, and then just put a bow around it, and you give it to somebody. Eggnog is something also that you can make in the same capacity and present it. My sister was looking for an eggnog recipe. She loves putting her coffee, and I was like, Carolyn Ketchum, who's All Day I Dream About Food, and Molly's had her on before to talk through like making kind of a low carb or diabetic friendly bread. I believe, is that right, Molly?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's brilliant in that. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. She's fantastic. She's just kind of a wizard in the kitchen. But she has a wonderful eggnog recipe on her website. And I sent that to my sister, and I was like, here's your eggnog. Because my sister was like, I really want an eggnog without sugar. I was like, well, here's an option for you. But that's also a great gift for the holiday season to give to a friend or a neighbor or something of the sort.
Especially, and what you do, I think is just, you do a really good job at this of hearing your sister say that. You kind of store it away, and then you help kind of bring that to fruition. You're like, okay, you heard her say, oh, I wish that there was a healthier eggnog. And then like you make it for her. So, not always are we going to be like planted with an idea for someone of like what they like. But if we do know that like, okay, this person like loves their margaritas, or they love whatever it is, it's kind of their thing. If there's a way that we can do it, even in a healthier way, and then like make that into something festive for them. I think it's a really cool thing. The infuse, you could also, we were talking about holiday spirits, and someone was talking about how she uses, it was actually a guest we had on last week's podcast episode. It was Melanie Warner Spencer, and she has all these really great ideas for actually zero proof cocktails that are like still really fun and beautiful. And she uses Swerve to make a simple syrup, and then she'll do different infusions into the simple syrup, whether it's like basil or rosemary or ginger. But she was saying, a great gift idea for like a hostess gift is to bottle some of that. And
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I love that.
Lots of ways that we can have like a sippable do-it-yourself gift for friends, family, neighbors. And then the infused oils that Ben was talking about, this is something that it doesn't take a lot of skill or like a lot of know-how. You can infuse your own, or you can buy them already infused. But like, so you would just take something like 2 cups of extra virgin olive oil, and then whatever your choice is of like a spice or an herb, a handful or 2 of it. And then you could put a little bit of zest in there if you wanted to give it a little bit of citrus. But you heat it over medium heat. You allow it to simmer for just a bit, and then cover it, let it kind of stay in there hot for a couple of hours, and then let it cool. And you can bottle it, and then you can keep it, seal it, keep it in the fridge. I like to keep the herbs still in there because then you're still kind of continuing to have that infusion. But that's kind of the ratio, like 2 handfuls for 2 cups of oil. So depending on how much you're making, you would use a bigger batch of it. But I love the idea of the infused oils. And then as you're bottling it for the gift, you could stick like 1 sprig of rosemary down into that, so you're still seeing it or something. Or like we said, you can, if you have an oil that you like that's infused that you can buy in larger quantities, I wouldn't recommend doing it like with something necessarily from the grocery store, because you want it to maybe be something a little that's special. But like, we have someone that actually, if you've ever been to Dominica restaurant and there's the chili infused olive oil.
Yes, I love that restaurant.
Gosh. Well, one of the local vendors that we work with, Ben, they happen to be the people who are the distributor for that. And so we have the hookup that we can buy that by the gallon. And so we are able to do that incredible Dominica chili infused oil. I'm sure that I would be able to make a version of it, but it probably wouldn't taste quite so delicious like it does. So we definitely do a cheat for that, that we're buying it already made. But you can do that, and then pour it, even if you were just using something that was maybe store-bought, but you could still make it different or interesting by putting some of those herbs into the bottle and kind of making it a little bit special too.
So my three things on this. So first of all, I do not think you should make it public that you have that hookup.
No,
People are gonna be sliding
maybe
into your
not.
DMs. They're
That's
gonna be
true.
sliding into your DMs.
Wait, Damon,
Want
our
some of that.
mailman, he's like, so we gave it to him at Christmas a couple of months ago. He's like, so Molly, would you mind if I bring that bottle back by and you can refill it? I was like, no.
No, he has figured out the source.
Yes.
And then the other thing, who knew when you were talking to these infused oils, who knew that like you are now, what is it? The student has become the teacher. Like what is happening over there that you're like the way you're talking through this? I'm like, hello, who is the master in her kitchen? Like that is fantastic.
Well, you know, it's working with a lot of the chefs that we work with. And then you see them do it. You're like, wait a second, that isn't hard. It just takes thinking of it, getting the idea, taking the time to do it. But it certainly doesn't require like a huge amount of skill, but it makes something so different. And it requires the creativity and wanting to take the time and put the time aside, you know?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But
I would agree
boy,
with that.
like those things that the chefs are doing, and then they put just a few drops of whatever that infused oil is over what might even be, it could be like that fish dish or whatever. And those are the things that like up the game without even realizing like what's upping the game. You know, it's all these extra little touches they do. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? So the question I have for you with these infused oils, because I've just always wondered, when you put like the basil or the rosemary in there, does it break down over time or does it ever spoil, I guess is the thing? The question to ask about those herbs, like,
I would
do you know?
Usually what I'll see says to keep them in the fridge if you're having it in there. But putting like if you had herbs that you had extra herbs that you had chopped and you didn't want to waste it, you could put those chopped herbs in like ice cube trays, even with olive oil. Yeah. And then later when you want to use it, like you could pop it out. Now you've got some oil with that herb and you would put it in your skillet to get started.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So it sort of helps as a preservative, but I have, now that you say it, I usually do see stored in the fridge, and that might be because of that herb that's in there.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah.
I've always wondered.
Yeah, no, you're right though. Or if you didn't want to store it in there, then maybe taking that herb out of there before, like straining it out of there before, and then just keeping it in the pantry.
That makes sense because you at least have the flavor. You just don't have the. I guess I'm gonna say a terrible way. You don't have the carcass of the
herb. Right. And then on sippables too. Are you a tea drinker? Like, do you like tea?
I drink tea when in England.
Which
Ben
doesn't go to England very often.
Once every 5 years.
But do you do iced tea?
I don't. I truly am a water.
Yeah.
A coffee, decaf, and then an adult beverage. Those are probably those are the three liquids I consume throughout my week or lifetime, I guess.
And coffee, you do have to do decaf because if you do regular, you get pretty hopped up.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to have caffeinated coffee. No one around me wants that to ever happen.
Well, for those who are tea drinkers, or you have people who are, there's a company, it's a local company based out of coastal Mississippi, and it's called Gotchi Tea. And why I love them is, number one, it's a local company. They source very specifically from small farms. So it's actually a friend of mine, Memsie Ladner, and she had lived in Korea for years. And she visited a lot of different tea farms and started to get really interested in this and started to become really well versed in this. And when she moved back to the United States, she realized that there aren't really companies here that are bringing those in. And so these are from very small family farms that she knows, she's visited, she sources. But her branding is it's so beautiful. And so little canisters of it they're gorgeous. And she has things like matcha tea, which you and I have worked with matcha tea. But she uses what's called loose leaf tea. So it's not in a bag, it's actually loose. So then you would get there's little baskets or stuff like that. And they have all the accessories. But I'm going to link to her website, Gotchi Tea. But it's just it's very, very, very beautiful. And if you've got someone who is kind of into the matcha tea world, she has the matcha tea, the whisk, all that kind of stuff to go with it. But I love it. Again, like I said, she's local, but she's also really very specific in these artisan, these family owned small farms that she's bringing it from. And she has all kinds of like neat teas. Some of the tea, like it's tea leaves, but you think of like tea leaves usually look like, I don't know. Sometimes it would be like plants that had fallen on the ground and they've kind of dried up, and that's what your tea leaves look like. She has some that like look like stars, like starburst, and it's these like it looks like something like a creature from the sea, and like it's really really cool. So
interesting.
yeah.
Well, my niece loves tea, so now you've given me an idea for where I could get her something unique.
Yes.
To put in her stocking or whatever it may be, have under the tree.
It's definitely
so
different.
I definitely will tap into that.
Yeah, it's like you're not going to find it in like most regular grocery stores.
Do you have a favorite flavor from the gachi tea?
We use the matcha most because Brad uses the matcha. But Great. There's a white peony. It's I always thought the word was peony, but a white peony is probably my other. And she has a lemongrass too. That's really amazing.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Great. I love it. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna look into it.
Yes. I'd like to take a bit to share about Nutrafol, sponsor for this week's podcast episode. Nutrafol is designed to support the growth of thicker, fuller, healthier hair from the inside out. You've heard me say it before that when it comes to skincare, hair care, body care, I am a huge rules follower. I'm very consistent, and I follow the specific recommendations of my dermatologist. So when I learned about Nutrafol and I reached out to get her feedback on it, she told me that not only does she recommend it to her patients, she also uses it herself. Nutrafol is a physician-formulated nutritional supplement that's made with potent botanicals. So in addition to things that we can already do, like backing off of damaging styling tools, heat, and chemicals, supplementing with Nutrafol helps to support healthier hair from within. You can grow thicker, stronger hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and using promo code FUELED, and new customers will get 20% off. This is their best offer available anywhere. Plus free shipping on every order. Get 20% off at Nutrafol.com, promo code FUELED. Their best offer anywhere. 20% off at Nutrafol.com. That's spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FUELED for hair as strong as you are. The other that we talked about earlier, but cookbooks. We have the Eat Fit cookbook, of course, but any cookbook, that can be a really cool way to personalize a gift for someone. If you know that they're into like barbecuing or whatever, like you can kind of theme it to them.
Yes. No, I would, cookbooks. I'm looking across my kitchen right now because I'm sitting in my kitchen and I'm looking across and I've got like a bookshelf of about 40 cookbooks. And there's a reason why I have so many because the pictures are beautiful. Even in the Eat Fit, it's a stunning cookbook, in my opinion. I'm not biased at all. And what I love though is that even when you are giving a cookbook, Molly, you had mentioned, which I think is a great idea, is that if you actually if you had a favorite recipe from that cookbook, if you actually pulled the ingredients together for that person, and so you present them with a cookbook, but also some of the dry ingredients, like if there was a pasta dish or something of the sort, you could that could be part of the present, which I think is a great idea. I think that's pretty awesome. And
it may be completely straightforward of like what that recipe is. So like for the Eat Fit cookbook, the thing that we always have in our fridge, it's Ben's recipe for the salted dark chocolate peanut butter cups. And I make them with almond butter. We keep them in the fridge because they kind of get melty, goopy. But one of the ingredients that's in there is cacao butter. And you can find it at stores like Whole Foods or, of course, online. But that's an ingredient that kind of stumbles. People aren't sure, like, what's cacao butter? And they're familiar with everything else in there, but not that one. So gifting them the cookbook and then some of the key ingredients, like, okay, here's your Swerve, here's your cacao butter, here's your, just cocoa powder or coconut oil, some of the basics for that, because it's only like a handful of ingredients for that recipe, including all that kind of in the gift. It's personalizes it. It shows them, okay, now they've got everything here. They can be familiar with what those ingredients are. You had mentioned like pasta. If you have someone who's, trying to go the healthier route, there's so many different like pasta alternatives available now. So like, Have you tried, Ben, it's the Hearts of Palm pasta yet?
I haven't tried that one. I've mainly worked with, and forgive me, is it bonsai?
Yeah. No,
So yeah,
it's
they're
Bonza.
how do you bonsai, not bonsai tree. It's a bonsai.
But yeah, bonsais. Bonsai is what, yeah, it's the
So,
Mr. Miyagi tree.
yes. Okay. So bonsai. So Bonza, I do enjoy their chickpea pasta. I use theirs as a replacement, especially when I'm feeding my nieces and nephews who are on that roll of having like macaroni and cheese, the Kraft out of the
hmm
box. But I'll make them a better for you, getting a little bit more protein into their diet with that chickpea pasta. But I haven't tried the pasta you're speaking of.
I had bought it, I saw it, and there's two brands that I've seen. One's called Palmini, like Hearts of Palm Linguine, and then one is the Whole Foods 365 store brand. And I had bought it, I had it in our pantry. I wasn't so sure about it. And then our friend Deidre was over here and she was like raving about it. And she's really particular about like quality of ingredients. And she's like, she makes all these different dishes and she'll toss that through the sauce and she loves it. And I was like, wait, I've got it right here. So then we tried it and Brad loves it. And he's a hard critic. Of course, he makes his homemade pasta. It's so delicious. This is no comparison to homemade pasta, but in the pasta alternative world, it is really good. It's really fast. So you were here a few weeks ago, Ben, and I wish I would have known that and I could have like given you a pack to just try. But that would be something like that or the Bonza. They're shelf stable. And so if you've got someone you're giving them maybe an Italian cookbook that's got some pasta dishes in it, giving them a couple of the different pasta alternatives that they could throw into that recipe versus maybe the white pasta that it called for. Again, just kind of, it shows that you're being mindful of like hearing what their goals are or hearing kind of what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and I think people appreciate it. Like even going back to what you were saying about my sister and the eggnog, is that she appreciated that I went out of the way to find either create an eggnog recipe or find one to, like you just said, support them or
Yeah.
her on her wellness journey that she has, and really she likes eggnog during the holiday season in her coffee. And so just to bring that gives her a little joy every day that she
Right.
wakes up. But she also knows that in this day and age, being better educated about like sugar intake. And again, I am not, Swerve is not anti-sugar. We just know that we can overconsume sugar, especially with added sugar. My sister's aware of that now. She has that education. And so she was just like, I love my eggnog. And right now I use it with sugar because I don't have an option. So once I provided the option, she appreciated that so much, which I think also any kind of gift you give where you give that substitution that you have tried out and you know that it kind of meets that thumbs up approval that this is a good switch and it's delicious and it's not going to be like cardboard that I'm handing them. Be like, I hope you enjoy this as a pasta substitute, you
And
know?
it's specifically for them and what they crave or what they enjoy. And then, like we said earlier, you're okay. Swerve's not anti-sugar, but this time of the year, especially, there's more than enough sugar going
Ooh,
around.
there sure is.
Yeah. So if we can find a few ways to cut it. So we've got the homemade baked goods. We've got the homemade sippables. We talked about the infused oils, the gachi tea that I'm a big fan of, cookbook, any type of themed cookbook or a wellness focused, especially cookbook. And of course, the Eat Fit cookbook. And then we've got y'all's promo code, which is Eat Fit Gift. I'll put that in there, but that's in our notes, but it's 20% off. And I think the last thing that I have, well, one of the last ones for people, I think this is a cool gift if someone is a farmer's market shopper or if they're not, but they're starting to cook a little bit more, get more creative. Introducing them to the farmers market as part of one of their regular stops can be cool. Here, Crescent City Farmers Market uses these wooden tokens. So you can pay with cash, credit card, whatever to the vendor, or you could go in and give, $20 to at the main stand and they'll give you tokens. And those tokens kind of work as currency. But you can give tokens to the farmer's market as part of a gift. And then if you pair that with little potted herbs or like a little herb garden starter kit, just a way to kind of tie in things that are a little bit more locally sourced as well.
Yeah, that's a great way also just to get the whole family involved and
Yeah.
to get kids involved and also to educate like how food is sourced and where it comes from. Because a lot of times, even if I think about when I was growing up and meals were served to me, I didn't really and maybe other people did. Maybe I just wasn't the sharpest tool in the tool shed. But I wasn't really connecting the dots of like all these ingredients or pieces came together to make this delicious meal. And honestly, I came from small town Alabama. I grew up around farms, mainly peanut farms. And just so you know, Molly, we love to joke that peanuts grow on trees. Have I ever told you that?
No.
But you know, peanuts actually grow on the ground in vines.
Yeah. Okay.
So we will, when friends come to visit, we say, "Oh, look at that peanut tree." You know how many people want to get out and take a picture of the peanut tree?
And
it is amazing.
But
it's absolutely amazing.
You could understand it because like pecan trees and stuff like that. But yeah.
I know. I got a little off topic, but I grew up in like peanut farms and whatnot, but I just didn't grow up in a space that had farmers markets that I could go to. So I love.
Well, they also weren't so common. I don't think several.
They weren't
ago.
so common. No, you're so right. And so now so many towns of all sizes have their farmers market, and it is a great way just to kind of do some education. But again, like you said, also some great gifts to give.
Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if all farmers market have some sort of a quote currency like that, but for Crescent City Farmers Market, I think it's like it makes it really easy to do like a gift certificate, but in a cool way, you know?
Yes.
Still staying on food and healthy kind of ideas on food, but for people,
is that a shock to anyone here that we are staying on food?
But for people who are like on the go, and I think fortunately one of the, you know, as people refer to it as like the silver linings of all the COVID stuff that we've had going on, but one of those quote silver linings is that for a lot of people, their worlds have slowed down a little bit, and maybe people are taking the time to cook a little bit more. But you still may have people in your life who are constantly on the go and kind of catch as catch can. And so something like a meal delivery company can be a good option. Like, you know, companies that do meal prep at the fitness center, at Osher Fitness Center, actually, our Fuel Cafe has started doing, I don't know if I told you this, Ben, we started doing Eat Fit grab and go meals. Did I tell you that?
I did not know that. I think that's really smart.
It's grab and go, GEAUX, by the way.
Of course it is.
They're takeout only. Like you have to go into the fitness center, pick them up, but they don't do delivery or anything yet. But yeah, they're actually, when we were on like quarantine a few weeks ago here in our household, the Eat Fit grab and go meals, my incredible dietitian coworkers were dropping them off at our house, like, you know, by the twos a day for Brad and I, and they made it was just really fantastic. But so the meal prep like that, where it's your ready-made meals, doing a gift certificate or a series of those, whether it's a week's worth, depending on what your budget is, you can do a week's worth of meals for people or more. One of our other like partners here, like every cities have them all over the place, of course. Clean Creations is one of our Eat Fit partners here, and they have a huge business that spans a very big footprint. Like they do over like 3,000 meals a week, Ben. It's wild. They have their system down. But
that says a lot, Molly, as far as the consumer base and their demand for this product.
Yes,
that's
you're right.
Exciting.
And they taste really good. So if you've got someone who's like not preparing healthy meals for themselves or trying to eat healthier, doing something like a meal delivery company for a week or longer, again, depending on budget. Do you know what I did last year for gifts for a few people? I think that they all liked it. The people I chose to give this to, I kind of thought it through and I was like, I really do think they liked it, but you can tell I'm still doubting it a little bit.
Well, no, I actually love that you're like, I think they liked it, and whether they liked it or not, I'm still going to promote it here.
Right. So every week, Brad and I we have our freshly pressed juice. Have you ever had that at our house? The beet juice that we do with the different
I've seen it, but I've seen you drink it, but I have not had it yet.
Okay, I'm surprised I haven't given you a little shot.
I know. So I've got a running list. I've got pasta that you owe me, and now we're gonna have some beet juice, which we'll be honest with you, scares me just a tiny bit. I may need to put a little bit of Swerve in there to sweeten it up for me.
Yes, I have a client who does do that as well. But it's beets, spinach, kale. It's got turmeric, ginger. It's got all types of stuff. Basically, it was their green juice that had all their produce in it, but it didn't have any beet in it. And so then we added beet, we added all the different herbs and spices, and we call it Balance Blend. So I had kind of worked with them and requested that a long time ago, almost a decade ago. And then they put it on the menu. They call it Balance, which I love. So we get that weekly, a delivery of those. We split that each day. We take a 16 ounce and we split it. But and that's from the Green Fork. But juice bars like the Green Fork, especially that deliver, can really make it easy to do these fresh pressed juices. So the idea is you want to try to keep it as much vegetable as possible, not fruits.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay. So as much vegetable as possible. That's good to know.
Otherwise, fruit juice, of course, it's a lot of sugar. But I do have a client that orders the Balance from the Green Fork, and I don't know if they put it in there for him or if he puts it in, but a bit of either sometimes stevia or Swerve. But no, I love that. So what I did for these people last year, one was Brad's sister, and I mean, she did love. Actually, Brad's sister then started doing the green juices on a regular basis on her own after.
Well, then I think that gift was a winner.
Yeah. So I did a kind of a package. I believe we did 6 juices. We did 2 that were mostly carrot based, 2 that were that balanced with the beet in it, and then 2 that were just like all greens. And so it was also a really pretty little package because it was 2 green, like vivid green bottles, 2 purple bottles, and 2 bright orange bottles. And then the Green Fork, I gave them the delivery information, and they delivered it to each of the people and had a little card that went with it and stuff. So, it's something that would be prohibitive, maybe cost prohibitive for most people to give as a gift for like weeks at a time, but it could be a really good way to introduce someone to it. And then, if they like it, like Tracy, Brad's sister, she kept on doing it.
I love that. Let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of Butcher Box?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you just have to research it. So it's grass-fed beef. It's no nitrates, no hormones, that kind of thing. So it's a cleaner. Not just beef, but you can also get like wild-caught salmon. So for my dad, like even for this Christmas, I went ahead and I ordered him a box from Butcher Box of things that I know are going to be better for him options. And like you said, price prohibitive. I can't do it every month, but I can do it as a special occasion. But I think I had some chicken breast in there. It gives you a bag of like 10 salmon fillets that are wild caught. I did do some grass fed, better for you, I guess, just fillets, because he's kind of staying away from animal fat right now. And I'm trying to think what else was in there, but like I could choose 5 different proteins for him, but it was really based on really his diet needs. And I also knew it was going to be better for you options that didn't have a bunch of stuff pumped into them. But that's also a really good, in my opinion, if someone's far away, like they're in Alabama, I'm in Texas, and like it arrives this week, because I wanted them to have it for the holiday season for just any kind of meals they may prepare.
Right. Whereas if you were right there, maybe you would go to the store for them, and pick it out. But that was easy. It's almost like the Harry and David is for fruit. Like doing that for your proteins. I love that.
Yes. I love it. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So you should check that one out. Also, I'd just like to see what you think. But overall, I've been doing it for about 2 years, and it's where I get most of my protein.
I like that.
And it's just quality.
I like it. Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that are like boxes like that, actually one of the sponsors for this week's episode, it's a company called Man Crates. Have you heard of it?
I've never heard of Man Crates. Tell me some more. I've got a list. I've got a running list of things I need to research.
Well, this is one of the things that's just wild about it. It comes in this like wooden box that like literally the only way to open it is with like a crowbar. So it's also an interesting thing if you're given it as a gift to like watch someone even like get into like pry this lid open. But they have some of the ones that I really like because they kind of have healthier options in there. There's one that's like a soak and smoke. It has just like the wood chips, the wood planks, but it comes with this like cast iron smoker box. But there's something that's the Everest grill crate. That's the one that we got. And it comes with like a pink Himalayan sea salt block, which is really cool. But they have like a whole bunch of different ones. But yeah, Man Crate, which is also kind of a cool name for it too.
Well, I also find it interesting that it's called Man Crate, and they've sealed it so well it may take 10 human beings to open it.
Exactly. So other things too. So we've talked a lot about, I hope this gives our listeners, there's like countless ideas of like good, nutritious stuff that can still be beautiful, fun, festive. But then there's also just like some really, I like doing like workout stuff too. If you know someone is like already into exercise, or especially for the person who's kind of like just starting to dabble in it, they're maybe a little bit new to it, getting them like some sort of apparel or gear. And like, you can always do just like cool, like athletic scarves or gloves or like a workout bag, you know, like if you don't know about sizing, but like, that's just like one more way to help support those like healthy habits.
Yeah, that's definitely a different one. And even, and again, this gets into that cost prohibitive, but it may be something to save up for. But even the whole Fitbit, I think with everybody just try and find ways to get out more, especially in 2020, and just being able to track. I use my phone for a lot of my steps, but I did have a Fitbit a couple of years ago, and I really enjoyed all the data it provided as far as my progress for the day and all that good stuff.
And I love to use mine for sleep too. It tracks that, which is something I'm always kind of like struggling with, working on. And then stuff like foam rollers, kettlebells, a cool yoga mat. I mean, there's just like so many different like smaller things that you can get. Or someone's new, like I love taking like a workout bag. My favorite workout bag is like this Under Armour bag. It's just giant. It's what we travel with too. But if you had that and then you filled it with a few things, like maybe put the foam roller in there or put some healthy snacks that we're talking about in there. So, but lots of things.
You can put those candy pecans in there.
Like it would be like 50 pounds of them, which might be really well appreciated.
Of just candy pecans.
I know,
like it's all I can make. So you're gonna get Tommy, put them in a bag.
No, a bigger bag. It's awesome. So tons of ideas for our listeners. So when you're thinking of like wellness minded gifts, this is just even what we've thrown out now, mostly centered on food, but there's so much dealing with like mind, body, spirit. There's so much that you can kind of listen to where someone might be struggling or where they could use that extra little edge. And then like, how can we kind of help gift that to them this holiday season?
Yeah, I think this is fantastic. And, and again, people like kind of that homemade gift if you can do it, or even just that thoughtful. So this gives you hopefully some good suggestions on how you can surprise those who you just want them to know you appreciate them and love them, care for them. And, food is just one of those great ways to someone's heart, as we all know. So hopefully this gives some good suggestions.
Love it. So that well-planned, well thought out holiday gift helps us and our loved ones embrace the health, the wellness, and the balance. And it's, it helps them, it helps us, it keeps everybody motivated. So Ben, thank you. I'll link to everything that you talked about too on our podcast notes.
Thank you for having me. I had fun, and I can't wait to, again, go down my list and research everything we've discussed.
And come back to my house soon and get some presents.
I've got homework.
All right. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Molly.
So always a blast with Ben. I hope that you guys got some really great ideas that you can put into practice. As always, if you do, snap a picture of it, send it to me. I love to see and hear what you incorporate into your own lives from this podcast. I'll also include the links that we've talked about in the show notes of this episode. I am registered dietitian Molly Kimball, and you've been listening to Fueled Wellness and Nutrition, the podcast. If you would like more Fueled Wellness and Nutrition, please head over to mollykimball.com, and you can follow me, Molly Kimball RD, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you haven't yet, please go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join us next week for another dose of Fueled Wellness and Nutrition. Thanks for listening, and stay focused on living your strongest, healthiest life.